Hello everybody, welcome back to Movie Reviews. And in this episode I am looking at Heavy Metal from 1981. Yes, Heavy Metal from 81, yeah. A cult classic, I have to admit, like an 80s cult classic, animated classic. It is truly and bizarrely interesting. What this film is, it is an anthology of short stories which are included in the film and are based on the French magazine of the same name, pretty much. And yeah, that's what Heavy Metal is. It's based on a French magazine from so on. So Heavy Metal, sort of an interesting film because it's animated differently, very colourful, quite erotically. It's quite erotic, quite weird, quite expansive. That it's just the art style in this film is absolutely stunning. I have to admit, quite strange as well. It's just all over the place, but it is really interesting indeed. Obviously, it's an anthology film, and there's about six, seven stories in this anthology. Obviously, you've got the beginning bit with some astronauts coming back from a space station in a convertible heading down space, quite weird, and then goes back to his big mansion to meet his daughter. However, a green orb has stowed away in the. He brought back an orb or something, and he found, or it got stowed away in the back of the car or something, and it basically disintegrates him, the astronaut, and actually takes hostage of the daughter, which then tells her about the societies, all the stories that the film implies. So first up we got is Harry Canyon, in which a taxi driver has to help there's a train going by. Harry Canyon. Also, a taxi driver has to help with a woman to get this artifact, like an alien deadly artifact or some sort of a weapon, I think, and it's not like in a futuristic city, sort of like Blade, you want to tell Fifth Element type style. It is that this whole world he inhabits, like some kind of like futuristic New York, which I believe is in 2031, if I can remember. I think that's what I mentioned, and obviously it's to do with Well, overall, it's a nice little opener to get started. Then we've got Den, which is fantastic. Obviously, one thing to mention about with these, they're familiar actors, of course, because you've got John Candy in this film, Eugene Levy, you've got Eugene Levy, John Candy, Harold Ramis is in this movie as well. Quite a few few favourites, few Saturday Night regular ones. Some obviously some won for good success, and obviously it's like a little starting point. This is, well, sort of starting point, really much. May I digress. So Den, probably one of my favourites are the stories. Harry Canyon's good, but Den sort of takes a cake bit because it's about a young boy who basically, he finds the green orb that I was mentioned in the beginning bit. I mean, the orb is sort of a recurrent thing throughout the anthology. It's like a story arc, very much. Like it inhabits different parts of the stories, very much. And he finds the green orb, and he conducts electricity when there's a storm going on, and he gets zapped and teleported to another world, to another planet, and he gets mutated into like a big bulky, bald, like Neanderthal type warrior, and he has to, get this all like sacred stone or something, and it's filled with like some big-breasted empresses, lots of sex nudity rituals and stuff, and it's just completely over the head. It's hilarious, and they rise like pterodactyls and stuff. It's just and griffins and stuff. Jeez, really good. I do think it's one of my favourites. I think it's hilarious. It's like a funny little fantasy story, really good. And these sort of like, what are they like? It's like Planet of the Apes, sort of a bit like some kind of like gorilla reptile type soldiers has to face up against. Really fantastic. Then we move on to Captain Stern. Now this is my least favourite one, mainly to do with the annoyance of the character Captain Stern. Very much because that character is absolutely is a load of bollocks. Talks crap, and also, he's basically like a sex pest criminal. He's basically trying to plead guilty and try and get off scot free, which, well, to be honest, it's never. Um, yeah, to be honest, I just found it quite annoying. What was that character? It's in Cool World. It's like with the cartoonist Jack, and he gets transformed into this sort of hero. It's sort of like that, but I guess it's more. Well, the character in Cool World's more cartoonish, a bit more funnier, and sort of stops him, but in his own sort of really childish sort of ways. Whereas with this one, it is just, it's like, well, it's sort of like just like people just want to play in Britain. He's completely annoying. I mean, the way he's like drawn and sculpted. Bleh, to be honest, not my type of thing. However, it sort of becomes like the Hulk all of a sudden, like with his attorney getting a stone or actually swallowing a stone and turns ginormous to try and kill him. Though he sort of gets away, I think afterwards. Just don't know. But Gamma Stone's not my favourite. I think the next one is B17. That's actually like a little significant horror story. That is. It's like, well, actually, I think it was sort of based on the idea of Dan O'Bannon for Alien, actually, to do like with zombies or something, tackling an aircraft or something, and I think the original idea was sort of implied into B17, in which you got like World War II like zombies and stuff stalking stalking an aircraft, and all the soldiers die. And it's all self-contained. Really good stuff. I do think that's quite good as well. And obviously, and the surviving pilot crash lands on an island and it's habituated by the dead. Quite good. It's also got a bit tense as well on it, which is good. And then we've got So Dangerous and So Beautiful. And another funny one actually is it's basically like 1950s pop sci-fi really. Obviously, people are getting teleported, or someone's taken out of the Pentagon, and obviously gets taken to the salvage ship with robots on, and obviously it takes into a funny love story with this little mouse droid or something with a mouse head. Obviously wants to go and get married to this young woman named this secretary named Gloria. It is quite funny as well. I mean, I do it's it's just funny it is, and I think he was hoping for a Jewish wedding or something. Really good. And then we got the finale, which was it Erina, and it's sort of the final epic part, similar to Den, but this one's. It sort of gets a little backstory about the sort of like the species, sort of like a Terracotta or something, like warrior race, and one of them survives and goes on a mission. Though the character doesn't speak, there's no speaking with this female character at all. She's mute throughout, and obviously takes on the dangerous mission of destroying the orb itself and destroying the universe. I think, or a distant planet, and using griffins and stuff like that, swords, everything. It's really good. I mean. It's a nice way to fit off the ending, of course. Well, sort of the end of the anthology short stories, and then move on back to the house. The girl who essentially with the orb, she basically grows up, I think, and obviously carries on. I think it's sort of prequel of like where the last one, the sixth story started, and it just carries on from there. Like she's been sort of aged, I think, by this orb, and obviously carries on going across the universe with a griffin type animal going around, and yeah, it's a little bit misleading afterwards. You think like, oh, I see now, but it's just how it is, really. And obviously with the soundtrack, of course, my goodness, I just remember the soundtrack. This is filled with other stuff like you got interesting stuff. You've got Grand Funk Railroad, you've got Black Sabbath, you've got Devo, you have Cheap Trick, Stevie Nicks. I think I can think of all the stuff. But soundtrack's really good. I mean, implied it with the sort of like action scenes as well. It does suit it nicely, and perfectly good. You can still get it actually because it was released on LP in '81. It didn't get released on CD until about 1995, surprisingly, and still getting good. And Elmer Bernstein, who did the score for Ghostbusters 3 years later, does this score, and it's to be honest, it's quite different what he does. Like compared to his comedy stuff, like what he did, with Ghostbusters one, My Left Foot, them sort of films. You know, this one has got like a bit of fantasy, science fiction, a little bit of horror into it as well, and it sort of works perfectly. He gets that type of style with heavy metal, which is good. And if you can get the score anyway, I think it was originally released back in the day, and then it's got reissued again, and it's been expanded. Quite good. So, heavy metal. It's a cult classic, of course, and it's an animated film that is based on the French magazines, of course, back in the day. It's erotic. It's fantasy. It's full of fantasy, full of nudity. It's full of rock music, of course. Got a bit of horror themes in there. It's got some similar ideas to other films that came on later in life, and some old ideas that were used but were never realised into the final product. Like say B-17 was originally for the plan for Alien, very much, but obviously that's and obviously you got a great cast as well. You got a few familiar faces in the film, of course, and the animation style is really good. So I do recommend heavy metal if you want to watch it, if you're interested to see it, and that's about it. And I'll see you for the next video.